If I could turn back time, I would be there for you. Let bygones be bygones.
Yeah, man, Supper Purples, one of my blessed beats. It has been a long time because I've been in this dungeon up until the wee bit hours after work, working on the best plugin in the whole world, according to me, the one right there. A couple of weeks from finishing it is fucking mad scientist mode going crazy in here. But I had to crawl out into the daylight when I saw the news of this new teenage engineering thing. I got my hands on one before they sold out here in Stockholm. And spent a lot of time with it today. Felt like wasting time because I'm not working, but I had so much fun. And you need to do that, you know what I'm saying? You need to have yourself some fun and relax too. Look at my first impressions. Oh yeah, quick overview on this. I'm not going to do a full tutorial video or some shit like that. By the time that this video is out, YouTube is probably going to be slammed for resources like this. But a quick overview. This is very inspired by the old school MPCs. If you ever had one of those, you're probably going to familiarize yourself with it pretty darn quick. But main is like the main screen. This is where you see all of your different scenes or your sequences. Also where you switch between your projects. You only have 9 projects. More about that later. You have 4 groups per project. 12 samples in each project, and inside of sound, this is where you're gonna either assign your samples from the memory or sample into one of the pads right here, or numeric keyboards music sound players. So if I want to switch this sound, I simply scroll through it with these buttons here, and these two are used for a lot of things. You can also hold down Shift, go through all the samples much quicker than that. This here keys button, this is like the 16 notes on the MPC. It's going to spread out whatever sample you have selected across the keys, and you can also go up and down an octave here. Shift and sound, that's where you edit your samples. Every menu in this, you're going to use these minus and plus buttons to go through it. So here we got sound, playback mode, one shot, key. This is basically a note on the MPC, or legato. Always also in the interface, you're controlling basically 2 parameters at a time, and it's going to be done with these 2 knobs right there. Yeah, said it. This is like the time incorrect button. Anything related to quantizing or not is going to be in this button or in the shift timing. So 8th notes, 8th triplets, 16ths, blah, 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 etc. And this is going to be your swing. Holding shift and pressing timing, you're in this timing correct mode where you can actually time things afterwards, correct things. This is your quick effects right here. Hold that one down in one of the pads, and then you're gonna get the cool effects. And what else we got? We got the fader. So if you hold down fader, all of these legends right here, attack, release, pan, tune, velocity, mod, low pass filter, high pass filter, effects, send, level, pitch, and time. This is what you're going to assign to the slider at the moment. So I can go in here and go to level, turn down the drums, and then I can hop into another parameter like the pitch. The level is going to stay where it's at there, and I can adjust the pitch of the whole group. This is always on the whole group, this operation, which is a little bit, can't say disappointing, but if you're going to compare it to a knockout 1, I mean, it's a lot more than that, but it's a little bit lackluster when it comes to the individual sample parameters that you can edit. But I found it to be usually more than enough, honestly. Got this cool loop function. If you hold down shift, this will loop a portion. You can choose here how big of a portion. And then you can skip around like that and hop back out into the beat like that. It's pretty cool. So if I were to get started on a new project, I'll hold down main right here and I'll select an empty one. Project 6 loading. Apparently it's all empty in there. I'd probably load up a sound or 2. Pick a kick. Right now I'm like, yo, what the fuck is going on with this delay? I'll hold down the fader and press this effects button to So I'll press effects and use these to where I select which effect. The effect also, by the way, is shared. You can have one send effect at the same time. What you can do is adjust the send levels from each of these 4 groups into the send effect, but there's not one effect per group or nothing like that. You have one effect to work with, and on the output bus, you have a drive compressor for some extra punch, and then of course these chinkabob effects things. And now the effects send doesn't work anymore. Reason I didn't put my knob on here was because I saw some video with a guy that said broke his fader because he put the knob on it. I don't know, maybe I did something stupid. That's how I always did it before. Okay, apparently I'm not allowed to use the send effects at all anymore. Maybe a firmware bug. I haven't seen any setting. I mean, I've had it for like 6 hours, but I've gone through literally everything in here. I haven't seen a setting for that, and that would be ridiculous if you could just turn that off. Why would you want to turn off just the send effects fader? Everything else works. Let's get a close-up of the sampling, because I haven't seen much of that. Hit sample, choose whether you want to sample from the left, right, summed left and right, or in stereo. And as soon as you hit the key, it's going to start sampling. Now the manual chop, hold shift and press sample. And it's going to play back the whole sample for some reason. And when you're ready, you have to hold down the key for the duration of the sample, otherwise you're just going to get these short chops. So basically it grabs whatever parts you hold down the key over. So yeah, it's pretty inconvenient. I'm going to sample this really sped up sound to see if it does something when you pitch it back down. I think it does 20 seconds in stereo. More than that would be unmanageable when you chop it. Yeah, pretty nice. I'm going to chop that up too. You'll see me holding down the keys here. Otherwise, it would just skip those parts. So if you just hit the pads, the keys, you'll get these short snippets. And that's pretty nice because you can have a long sample and just grab a couple of parts that you like. In shift sound, you'll find the trimming. And this is what the trimming looks like. Right now I'm editing the start point of the sample and the envelope. To get rid of the click there, just adding a little bit of attack to it. And it just skips in between the samples instantly, like on the machine, basically. Any sample longer than like 5-10 seconds is a little bit hard to get precise because these are not rotary encoders, endless encoders. They're like on the EP-133. And in the same mode, the sample edit, you'll also find the Timestretch, which I haven't seen much about. It's like an old school time stretch, sort of like the old school mode in Mr. Sample. You tell it either if it's a bar or like a fraction of a bar, or what BPM the sample is originally, and it will use that to recalculate the speed of it, time stretch it. It's pretty nice. There's also one mute group per group. So if I activate the mute group for all of these sounds, they're going to choke each other. And one nice thing is that these fader parameters can all have their individual recorded automation. So let's do the pitch on this one. First, I'll just set the pitch for the whole group to something that works. And then I'll record by holding record. And breaking the slider. You can see a big one problem I have. There's only one bar in group C. Group D has 2 bars. I need to make this longer. Hold down record and press the plus. And vamos a la gran puta. Get started ultra quick tips. Some road bumps that I came across figuring this thing out. Number 1, turning off the quantizing. Just press timing and shift it from, if it's a blinking cue right there, that means you're quantizing it to the grid. But if you go to free, it's not going to quantize it. And you can always record it unquantized and do the live timing correct on individual notes later, where you just hold the key down at the moment in time where you want to quantize it, which is a very dope feature. Number 2, make a habit of always going back to the main menu, because since there's not a lot of information here on the screen, well, there is, but not alphabetically wise, you want to make sure that you're in the right mode so you're not messing anything up. For example, one common thing that happened like many times, let's say I'm in here, I'm picking sounds, I'm like, yes, I'm very pleased with the results of this sound hunt. Now I'm still in the sound mode, but I'm not thinking about it. I just want to lay this shit down on a track. So I'll hold down shift and I want to go back to the beginning of the sequence. And maybe I've edited the pitch, fine-tuned the volume of it. And now instead of hopping back to the beginning of the sequence, I've switched it to a whole other sound. And when I switch it back, all of the parameters are reset to what they were before. Be mindful of that. It's going to save you some time. Let's say here you made one bar, you made a nice little bar, and you're stuck there and you're like, how do I make this bar longer? Hold down the rec button and extend the length with plus and minus. I said already. That's not going to duplicate it. Maybe there was a way to just instantly duplicate the whole pattern. Let me know in the comments if you know of such a way. Otherwise, you'll use the next tip, which is hold down shift and use plus and minus to skip between bars. And I'll go to the first bar, copy it, go to the second bar, paste it. Now I have a duplicate of that. I have been, like I said, around 6 hours running this only on batteries, and it's still going strong. I don't even know what the battery time is, but compared to something like the Timestretch, for example, or even the SP-404, these motherfuckers suck out the battery like instantly. And historically, Teenage Engineering have been pretty good with their energy consumption management. So generally, I like to have some sort of a lithium battery, something that you can charge, and you don't have to always fill it up with new AAA or AA batteries. But it's fine when it lasts for this long. Like, for example, I don't even bother with the SP-404 or the Timestretch because it finishes too fast. So I'm like working under time pressure. That has not been the deal with this one. So big one, plus points for that. To add that, let's talk about the cons. Say, for example, this trumpet sound right here. I want to play it with the keys, like, and I don't want it to be full velocity. It's very quick to do that on a machine or the MPC. You have an instant access button to change it. I just want to go in there, play some soft and sweet tender tones, and then go right back to the full velocity. Here I have to go shift, system, plus, pad, enter, velocity, turn it off, or to one of the sensitivity settings. I just want a quick shortcut for that. Small thing. Also, we have the keys mode here. I am kind of missing the having the velocity spread out across the pads. Keyboard click-clacks. It would be nice to have a velocity mode. I mean, like, I don't think shift keys does anything right now. Put a shift keys, spread out the velocity over there like the good old days. And like I said earlier, it's a little bit limited editing wise. Say, for example, we go into edit this sample right here, and we go to the playback mode, and I'm like, yeah, I want to play this as a legato. There is a legato mode, but you usually want to play that on sustained notes. So I would take it that there's some kind of a loop mode in there too. So you can sustain the note for however long you want. I mean, not going to play no synthesizer solos with that. Trimming samples. Yeah, the chop mode is cool and all. Let's say I want to edit the start and end points of this one. So I go into the sound edit. And now I go to trim. This is... It's a little bit tricky. I mean, this one is... It has a little bit of the shittiness of the small EP-133. It's kind of hard to be precise. And also, I don't want it to be playing back the sample for me like this all the time. We're used to, when we're chopping samples, we go... And yeah, it kind of sounds almost the same, like you're just stuttering the same sound over and over. But still, it's my own will when I want to re-trigger the sound. I don't want it to... It's just very distracting. Another huge point for me is this. I get the philosophy, like that guy on the Andertus video said, yeah, you want to be like direct with it, go with the flow and commit to your ideas. But come on, we have 9 projects here. I have filled up 6 of them in 6 hours. What happens when I fill this up? I mean, I haven't tried the sample editing software website thing yet, but I'm not sure that you can dump your projects like you could do with your samples. A couple of hours from now, I will have this thing filled up. And, one of the great charms is, picking up an old floppy disk from 5 years back. You don't know what's on it. You pop it in. You're surprised. It's a dope beat on there. You can't really do that. I'm not sure how you're going to do that with this. How do you manage your projects and you just finish them and be done with it? Yeah, I get the philosophy, but I enjoy going back to my old beats sometimes and just loading them up and tinkering with it, seeing what I put on the pads. Hearing that there are 3 samples on these pads here that I didn't use on the beat that in my final mix down. Just a trip down memory lane. I want to be able to do that. The USB, you have USB MIDI, but no USB audio. I'm very spoiled with that. You can use this cable, it works fine, but I kind of liked it on the SP404 and the OP1 that you can plug in the USB and sample straight from your phone, for example. And you know now with the iPhones and shit, they have these proprietary cables that you have to get a penis connector for. It's pretty cool that you can record fader automation with like the effect sense or the level or any of these parameters here. Very dope, but also I would like to be able to record automation of a specific scene where I'm triggering one of these special effects. And last but not least, I might be wrong here, but there's no song mode. There's no way to chain patterns together. And there isn't even a way to chain them together instantly. I might be wrong, but check this out. I'm playing this pattern, and I want to switch to the second one. It just hops instantly there. They're overlapping notes because I have a long one-shot sound in there. So you have to time it perfectly, like... And even then, the overlap gets a little jagged, you know what I'm saying? Another thing, I had to really press down very hard on these. A tip for that is to kind of apply the pressure toward the bottom of the key a little bit more. And also you can wiggle it a little bit. That's for cool results. But it feels like I have to push it so hard that I'm going to break it. I would like some 50% timing correct. That would be dope. Like not quantize it fully according to the grid that you set it to. Just nudge it a little bit toward the quantized grid. That is a luxury that we have on most machines nowadays. The machines, the MPCs, the anything. It's a modern day thing, so I just kind of expect that. Another thing, I want a quick pad mute or group mute. You can solo individual tracks by going in and holding down shift and playing them like this. And press down like multiple sounds if you have other samples there. But I would like it to be a little bit more like the OP1, like you can hold, I want to solo the whole group. I'll just hold down the group and solo that, or shift and press it to mute it instead. Now we have other shift functions here. So I actually did that by accident. I like copied and made new patterns and overwrote patterns because I just expected it to work like the OP1. Muting and soloing groups and samples. That would have been nice. Maybe I missed something. I would like also a way to get a little bit of lo-fi crunch out of it. But sampling at a lower sample rate, adding an effect, resampling, that would be very nice. It leaves some things to desire, but all in all, I'm in love with this machine. I just love the immediacy of it. I haven't been this glued to a machine on day one since probably I'd say the OP1 or the machine. The SP404 kind of wore off pretty quick on me. The sample trek too. They're adding little improvements, which is very nice, but also the UX is falling short a little bit. And now they're starting new projects, so I don't know. I mean, this thing right here is so damn cool. Is it worth the money? It is pretty damn cheap. Is it a buy recommend? Yes, indeed. Am I hoping for a few little firmware updates in the future? Yeah, maybe so. I think they kind of tripped on the finish line, which is usually the case when these machines are coming out. There's like simple little things that are like, why didn't you just go that extra little foot?
Okay, bye-bye.